Welcome to the Sunday Funday podcast. Your hangover never sounded so good. My name is Akil Patterson, and I'm here with part 2 with Big V. As he goes from Albufeira down to a meditation farm where he will be working for the next several weeks.
Yes, sir.
This is the Sunday Funday podcast. The hangover never sounded so good. All right. Well, listen, I keep telling you, why don't you just come work for me?
You've never told me that before.
I did. I said, why don't you, we need to collab on something.
Oh, like that?
Yeah. So first off, number one, we don't get paid for these podcasts.
You don't?
Not a dime.
You don't get any sponsors? Have you reached out to try and get ad sponsorships for them?
Not yet.
Damn.
Not yet.
We got to get that happening, man.
Well, one of the things is I want to do a Patreon, but I need people to watch the show. Yeah. So I need them to follow, and subscribe.
Of course.
And that means getting everybody in on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Except Tyler Smith. You are the GOAT.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. You know that. Him and Jackson Fletcher.
Big Fletch.
The GOATs.
Big GOAT. I love Jackson.
Actually,
bro.
Yeah.
Fugaziest motherfucker alive, bro. That's all I'm going to say, bro.
He's the biggest fake ever?
Yeah, bro. He's hella Fugazi, bro.
He's
always Fugazi. Nah, so basically, the story is me, Jackson, and our friend groups say that like an obnoxious amount because Jackson one day just texted me, bro, you look Fugazi as hell on your new Instagram post or something. And that word, Fugazi, just sounds so funny to us. We just we don't even use it in the correct context.
It's an Italian word. And
it's an actual...
He used it in the right word for you. He said you were looking fake. Yeah. It's a show. It's image. Anyway, this is the Sunday Funday podcast. We're back with part 2 where Victor's going to talk about his travel over there to the farm where so you're in Portugal.
In the Portugal, man. It has been 5 days, 6 days, something. I don't even remember. I go, get in it, right? So I'm in Albufeira, right? And I call the Uber, and I'm like, bam, Uber, pick up the phone, right? Uber comes up. I see hop in the whip, trail-ass Brazilian woman. I'm like, hey, how you doing? All this, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, drive me to the farm, right? She whips me all over the farm, hop out. And it's just
how long of a drive was it?
30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Okay, so you had a long time in the car with what trail what?
A Brazilian woman.
You said trail what, though?
What?
You said trail butt?
I don't know. I said I go out on a trail. I drive and I'm driving. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm driving on the trail. So it's there's no roads here. It's dirt gravel, right? Dirt gravel. And then there is this town. It's a ringy dingy ass. There's a cotton web, going across the thing. There's old duster. There's a guy smoking a pipe in the wheelchair, that kind of town, So there's no big towers or anything. But, there's a convenience store, or it's such small. It's the general store. You got one of those, but
okay.
In Portuguese, whatever, right?
All right, so
we get there.
So this Brazilian woman, which by the way, Brazilians are all beautiful.
Every single one of
Brazilians have so many shades of color too. That's there's really dark, really light. It's
they're
all
amazing.
Beautiful.
Brazilians on top.
Yeah,
crazy. A lot of those in Portugal, too.
A lot of stories there. Well, because there's only 3 countries that actually speak Portuguese, by the way. The Portuguese were not very good at colonizing.
Really?
No, they were not very good at it. They were not very good at it. But that's another subject matter. Okay, so you get to this farm. What's the name of the farm?
At this farm. The name of this farm is called Osho Lombos Garden. I'll break down the name for you. Osho was a Indian guru who always preached about being in nature, and he was just a guru guy who talked a lot about being in nature, meditating every single day, and he had a whole philosophy on life, right? This Indian guru guy named Osho, that the hosts of the farm designed this farm all around his philosophy. So they taught his lessons to us every single day because they deemed him so worthy of possessing this valuable knowledge, right, that they need to share onto the volunteers, right? And so I don't just drive to this farm and knock on the door. It's called WOOF. So it's a company. It stands for Worldwide Organic Farm Opportunities. I forgot the abbreviation, but it's called WOOF. And you sign up online. And I had this like months before.
WOLF?
WWOOF. Right.
WWOOF.
Or just WOOF. I don't know. Just look up WOOF Farm. And then, I already booked this farming experience, right? I already messaged the host, and so it's like I already had this all figured out, right? And so I go there, and the host, it's also a meditation center, right? So then I work on a farm. I work for these hosts, just doing landscaping for them for 5 hours a day from Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 2 p.m. And then from 2 p.m. onward, I have the rest of the day free, and I have the weekends off, right? So I have the weekends off. And so I'm there. I'm at the farm. I knock on. A woman comes out, 70 years old, in her bathing suit, right? She's wearing nothing but her bathing suit. And she looks at me, she's like, and she starts yelling at me in Portuguese. And so I'm just like, what? And I'm just like, come, and I'm just like, hola, 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 hola. And then she's like, hello, like, starts speaking English to me. And she gives me a tour of the farm, right? And it's this massive mansion.
Did she ever talk English?
Yeah, no, she spoke English.
Oh, so she stopped when you realized you didn't speak Portuguese.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm looking it up now. Pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's all designed around wellness and like meditation. So what we do, I was there for 6 weeks, and my schedule, this would look like I'd wake up at 6 a.m. and I'd drink my coffee and watch the sunrise and, read from 6 to 8. And then at 8:45, every single day we had a mandatory meeting at 8:45 in like a table like this. It was the hosts, me, and then 7 other people sitting around the circle and just listening to the host. And they read 1 page of a book called The Daily Stoic. And they taught about Stoicism. And then each person would pull a tarot card from the Osho like Bible or whatever. And every single day in the morning, we'd talk about like the principles of spirituality, about, this Osho gardening experience. And I could go on for hours about what they... it's just like just like everything spirituality.
We'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, for sure.
You can tell me all about the spirituality.
And then...
Which is actually a great topic because, one of your friends always felt like nobody wanted to talk about it.
I think I know which one. And then in the evening, we'd have a 1.5 hour meditation. And so that would spend the half hour not preaching, but teaching us from books and studies about, life and just all this really just like stuff. And then for another hour, we'd do meditations. And one of the meditations, this one was my favorite. A lot of them was just like basic stretching your back, blah, blah, this, that. But my favorite one, it was called Free Mind Meditation. And so imagine the scene, me, Victor, right? Sitting in a room, is a meditation room. Around me are like 10 other random 30 to 50-year-old people that I've never met, all from different countries, all speaking English as a second language, first language. They're all like all around the world, right? Sitting here. And the exercise is to speak gibberish for 1 hour. Free mind is in the process is to unlock your subconscious mind to, whatever it thinks, you just like, blah, blah, right? And so for an hour, I'd sit down, deep breathe, right? And then I would just go like, and I would just literal gibberish. Not only me, but 10 other people around me were also going like, all this like stuff for a straight hour. And I was just sitting there, and sometimes I'd like open my eyes and I couldn't stop laughing. It was just I was looking like, if anyone saw this, like anyone from the US or anyone who knew me, parents, friends, colleagues, they would just be dead laughing. And so I got a video recording of it. I didn't get the video, but I got the audio, and it's so funny. And I play it sometimes.
Didn't you get kicked out though?
And I got kicked out, yes, because the point of it was to talk like in a low kind of energy level, subconscious, like that's what I was supposed to do. But it's an hour. It's 60 minutes, right? So I get bored.
That was too long for you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was for the first, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I was chill. But then I got bored, and I don't know. I want to express myself. So I was like, fudge that like quiet stuff. I'm trying to go all out. So then I stood up and I started going, and I watched, like anime is pretty sick, right? And so like the way they sounded in anime, I just like really liked, right? So I just started imitating what like these like Japanese dudes, like samurai. So it was like, and I'd scream that like just random like deep sounding Japanese anime gibberish for like 45 minutes, and I did it, and I was being so loud and obnoxious that like everyone was like laughing, because it wasn't supposed to be serious, but it was supposed to be intentional. You're supposed to intentionally meditate. It's like a point of free mind. But I was obviously just shitting around in the meditation center, and the host was like, everyone started dying laughing. Once it started happening, they paused the music, and again I was like, Victor, like this is supposed to be like a meditation, and you're making everyone laugh. Please leave. And I'm just like, what? Like I got in trouble for just like being me, just like screaming at the time. Everyone else was like, and then other people started getting louder too to match my own voice, right? Other people started getting louder, like trying to imitate mine as well. And I was
just trying to rock your swag. Is that what they're trying to do?
Like, bite my flow and shit. I'm like, man, what?
All right, so
wildin'.
You're wild, number one, for admitting this, but number two, why would you do that? There are legit people that come there for peace and tranquility. No, seriously, like, did you like that's that's a maturity thing. That's what we got to work on that one.
I disagree.
Why?
Because I put a smile. No one was offended except the one host she's like 80 and like really cranky, right? Or like 75, and she's like a cranky old. But every single one of the other, they enjoyed it. They were smiling, and they got louder too. So I disagree completely with what you say, and I think it was a very good thing what I did, because I brought everyone's level up. If there was someone there who was taking it seriously, and I opened my eyes, so I saw like what people were reciprocating from my obnoxious noises and me raising my energy level a ton, right? If there was somebody there that was like looking at me and like shook their head and got pissed, of course I wouldn't have done it. I'm not just gonna blatantly disrespect random people, right? But I noticed that because everyone was laughing and like looking at me, and like they started doing the same thing, right? It wasn't just me. I mean, I was definitely like the loudest, and they're like, but then like everyone else was kind of like a little bit louder, and everyone put a smile on their face. So I brought it all up for 9 out of 10 people, and there's one of the women who was like cranky, and she kicked me out. But everyone thought he was funny, right? So that's why.
He or you?
What do you mean?
You said he's funny, and I was like, you
me,
or he?
Me. Oh. I don't know. My voice is. It was literally that for like a whole, just a lot of.
I think one of the things you're supposed to do is during meditation sessions, because I do meditate.
Me too.
I have a yoga mat in the morning. Mine's more like an industrial pad, the fat ass.
Okay, so what is your meditation? Because you can be so fluid with it. What do you do?
I open the window.
Open the window.
And I sit down, because my window faces a mountain, and I can see the whole city or area. And I just kind of sit there, and I work on my breathing. And after about 10 breaths, I start to think, and I reflect, and I know you'll cover this later, on my gratitudes for the day. Every morning, I just sit down and I just reflect on gratitudes, because for God knows, I'm grateful to be here. Because people like me normally die at 25 or murdered. Well, we're either murdered or early or we die early. So people that come from the scenarios that I come from, so I'm grateful. So being able to have these experiences and hear your experiences is pretty cool to me because I would have never done that. So anyway, you get kicked out.
I get kicked out of this,
and now you're just. Let's move on.
This is further on. This is like I was there for 6 of the weeks. I was only planning on being there for 2, but I actually liked my time there so much. Eating vegan and meditating and just being a bushman, tree hugger. Like I liked it. Like it was.
Oh, you
so
had to eat
fun.
vegan too?
Yeah, it was all vegan, no meat. 6 weeks. I know. How could you ever?
I'm a vegetarian. I grew up vegetarian. I only started eating meat when I got in my 20s.
Really?
Because it was hard to put on weight to play football.
Yeah.
But I always cheated. I always had to, because I love me some chicken, like Dave Chappelle says. All right, so you had some vegan. You're there on the farm. You stuck with the veganism the whole time?
It wasn't like, for me, I saw it 6 weeks vegan challenge quest popped up in the screen, right? I saw it as like a thing, like a challenge, right? It wasn't like if I wanted to eat meat, like it wasn't like a negative thing. Like I just saw like 6 weeks, that's all. And I thought of it, and I thought if I ate meat, then that would lose the challenge because people go vegan for years, and there's health benefits, and it's a discipline thing. So that's why I did it. But it was just a very, very good experience. There was every single night there was a sunset, like you were on Tatooine. The sunset would, oh my God, it was crazy. It was like, I wish you could see what I'm thinking right now. Imagine the most beautiful thing in your life and multiply it times 1,000. You know, and
I've seen the sunsets around the world,
but in
not ever in Portugal, so I don't know.
Portugal sunset's different, man, because you're on the coast.
Yeah, but I mean, you're also on the coast of Ireland, in Nova Scotia.
Portugal is different.
And you go to Iceland. I mean, come on. Oh, Iceland. Different beast. Anyway, you've only been to like 10 countries.
Yeah.
That's only the sad part. He's only been to 10 countries. He's like, I've only been to 13. I only have 3 more than you.
Yeah.
I'm double your age.
You're probably more.
Shut up. Don't you ever say that to me. I'll smack you down. But legit, like, you know, you've got to say, be grateful that you got these experiences. Now, during this trip, you know, let's find out. Did you ever have a moment where you got homesick?
The moment that I got homesick.
What was that the moment after that, right after you got kicked out?
No. It wasn't. It was probably 2 weeks in.
Okay.
2 weeks into the farm. This is before I got kicked out.
So this is before you. Oh, so you were homesick before you got kicked out.
Yeah. Because in that moment, I was very in routine with myself and the farm and my schedule. But before, there was a moment I got homesick, and it was 2 weeks into the farm, and it was actually the first time it hit me that I was going to leave the country for 10 weeks by myself alone. And then
you've already been out of the country for like 4 weeks.
Yeah, but for some reason, it didn't register because I was always in a new location, so I didn't really have time to think and process. But like probably like 3 weeks in, like 3 or 4 weeks in, I realized like, holy shit. And I had this moment where I went on my phone and I looked at my friends, this videos they were sending me. They're all on parties, doing crazy shit, like having a tons of fun, laughing, smiling. And then I look on my day and I'm like, well, I just shoveled horse shit for 5 hours. Like my day sucked. Like it was hard. Like it was not, you know, the trip was fun, but there were some parts that were probably the most mentally difficult.
Do you pay to stay on this farm?
No.
Oh, well,
you don't. Yeah, but you're not getting money either for being there.
Yeah, but you're also getting like this free kind of like you get to stay there and you get to do stuff. I mean,
definitely a value trade. Definitely positive elixir trade, but I mean, what was I saying?
No. So you get to the point where you're
where I'm homesick. And so what I do is I'm in this really depressive. I'm like crying. Like I went on the farm and I was shoveling banana trees and I cried. I was just like, this is so. Why would I go to Portugal for 10 weeks by myself? Who would do this? Nobody does this. Like
somebody told him not to do it.
Why would I? why would I do this? This is a horrible, like, I'm not making any money. I'm losing a ton of money. All my friends are having fun. Like, and then I just call my dad, right? And I'm like, Dad, I'm upset. I want to go home. I regret this trip. I'm not having fun. What do I do? And he's on the phone and he looks at me through the iPhone lens and just has a moment of silence. And he says, be grateful. And I'm like, whoa, like what? He doesn't say like, oh, it's okay. He doesn't baby me. He doesn't, say like, it's okay. Like, oh, come on. Like, he doesn't kind of, do this pampering. He just looks at me and says, be grateful. I'm like, what? He's like, put your chest up, put your head up. You're in Portugal. If I wanted to be where you are, I'd have to buy a $2,000 plane ticket, do months of booking, get accepted to this farm, do a shit ton of work to be where you are today. But you're there right now. And he also said, you're 18. The amount of 18-year-olds in the world at this moment that are able to go from where they are at home and fly to Portugal and spend 10 weeks on vacation, like it's not that high, right? Like you're in a very unique position. He said, be grateful for where you are because home is always going to be here, right? But what's rapidly leaving is your time in Portugal. And if you're not grateful, if you're just overthinking about who cares about what your friends are doing? Let them do what are you doing? Focus on what you're doing, right? And be grateful for where you are now and look around and be grateful for the things you have. Of course, you could always want more, Oh, I only have 3 mic stands, so I could have 5. I only have 1 Mac. I could have another Mac, I don't want more. Could, yeah. You could always just think about like, I want more, because that's where you're naturally going to, like consumerism, all this stuff. But if you just like sit down and like, well, at least I have 3. I could have 2. I could have 0. At least I have 1 Mac because I could have none, right?
I would prefer none. I like my notebooks.
He likes his notebook. And then I was thinking about this, like,
you got yours right. I gave you yours right. Okay, I'll give you yours later.
And I realized, like, wow, he's right. Like, I'm in such a unique position, and I'm never going to go back here ever again in my life, not at least in the next 10, 20 years. I should just be, like, super happy from now on that I'm here in Portugal and spend every second of every day being grateful. And that's what I did. I didn't really, that's the first time, before that moment, gratitude, what that meant for me was just like a word. That was just like a saying, people be grateful. I was like, okay, it just went down through the other. But then I was like, thanks, Dad. Hung up the phone, stepped up, walked into the bushes, like, there's a grass, it was like a garden. It was a forest garden. There's trees everywhere.
Cleared the tears out.
The birds, the dogs, the cows, there's an ostrich there, there's trees everywhere, and I looked around, and that was the first time that, like, whoa, like, I could just be grateful. I could just choose to be happy, right? Like, I don't have to be sad about this, right? I could, but I don't have to. Like, there's a choice of just being happy in every single situation you're given in life is just like, wow, just like envision that there's people who don't have what you have, right? Even today, I was kind of sad today because, I was sore and I was really tired and I didn't feel good. And I was thinking, like, looking around at the things that I have. I was in a house. I had things all around me. I had technology. I've never had to worry about food, water, shelter. There's people that are like, have nothing, literally just like a rag to cover themselves and 3 cents. That's all they have, right? And I'm thinking about what I have, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what I think is that gratitude is not based off of what we learn. It's based off of what we've learned not to have. And your dad gave you some wisdom because, and I was gonna, and we can get to this in the final episode because I definitely know that your parents are immigrants.
Yep.
Your parents are immigrants, so it's different for you.
Yeah.
But for them saying, be grateful.
Yeah, because my dad grew up he grew up dirt poor.
Yeah. Well, like
End of Vietnam War, he had to escape on a raft. Like
legit dirt poor. Like he lived in dirt.
He lived on a dirt floor,
yeah.
And now he's looking at like, if I could be where you are, like that's probably why he said that, because he heard me bitching and complaining about like, oh, I'm on vacation, Dad, but I'm sad. He heard that and he probably got like, what the? I lived on a dirt floor and you're on vacation. Be grateful for where you are. That's probably, and that humbled the shit out of me. I was like, God damn, like there are people that don't have food, that don't have anything. And like, I look what I have. I'm on vacation in Portugal. Like I have 10 weeks by myself. No one telling me what to do. No one doing anything. I could do it all.
Too.
By choice. Yeah.
This was your choice.
Exactly. I was like, I chose to be here. So I'm going to be grateful for this situation. I'm not going to be a bum anymore. Like, oh God.
And that to me is important, that you understand that you make choices. And when you make those choices, you have to accept them. Accept your choices and realize that, hey, I decided this was going to be what I wanted to do. Nobody held a gun to your head. This is part about being an adult. This is the part that most people never learn until they're like in their 40s.
Keep going.
Like, oh my God, I had to make the decision to do these. Like, yeah, man, you made the decision. And then everybody else, all the excuses we make, we leave those to the wayside.
Okay.
Flush them down the toilet.
Oh God.
Because guess what? They were our choices. So whatever someone else
bro.
decided to do, we were like, you know what? Doesn't matter what you decide. I don't care anymore. And when you hit a certain age, you just leave it right there. So what are you looking at? Are you looking at yourself?
Beautiful setup. No, I'm looking at your phone, at your
cameras.
crazy cameras.
Yeah, listen, this guy is obsessed with like and you know what he's probably looking at? He's probably looking at himself. There's like mirrors in here too, so he's a wild dude. So you finally feel grateful, and you go back and
ever since that low point where I was crying that one day at the farm after I called my dad and he was like, "Yo, be grateful for where you are." From that point up until right now, I haven't had a single day where I've just been like really bummed, right? Because I think about that every single day, and I think about that for like other people too. Like there are so many people that have money, that have a house, that have food, water, shelter, all you things you need to just live, and they're still sad. And I understand that. I feel like everyone has been sad, but then you could literally just shift your mindset and just think like, yes, like obviously I'm a human, right? Obviously I'm never not gonna get sad. Like it's gonna come up, like things will hurt me, right? But then when that happens, you just have to look at it from an objective perspective and just be like, that's just like a thought that I have. But like, I could also have this another thought. Oh, what is this other thought? To envision the things people don't have and then realize that where you are, yes, I won't deny, like you're bummed, you're sad, but you could also just think and just be like, well, there are people in North Korea that have like zero food, zero electricity, and their parents are dead. Like I have mom and a dad that are still alive. There are people that literally don't have dads. And I think about them like, wow, that's like that thought alone is so powerful that it just immediately makes me happy, right? Like it's crazy. Like the shit that, oh my God, bro.
The reason why I was actually writing something down is because, there's a wild statistic, and it's like, it's something that's like 80% of people that have both parents in their lives go on to successful lives. It's literally, I'm going to look it up now.
80% of people that have both parents have successful lives.
Yeah.
I feel like that's too bad, bro.
Well, no, it's
in the world globally, like no way.
So raising children, psychologists say that
out of the 8 billion, the people that have two parents are.
It says 70% of parents. All right, so 70% of children that have both parents in their lives go on to lead normal, happy, healthy lives or flourishing in abundance. 70%.
That's dope.
If you have both parents actively involved in your life. If you don't, it's very difficult. So when they say I got out, I'm like, well, most people got out because they had two parents in their lives or two parents.
Yeah, that's such a big thing. Is like it's completely out. Like you don't even get to pick your parents or your birthplace or your location. It's completely outside. You can't like character select. You don't get that. So a lot of people, they just like are put in that position and they didn't even have a choice in it.
That's what we call the lucky sperm donor club. Like that's it. It's like a lot of people, they get what they have because, boop, Somebody popped you out with the baby. Your mom hooked up with the right one. Your dad hooked up with the right one. You're a billionaire. Other people are like, I didn't have anything, and I finally came up from nothing. And there's a drive that sometimes makes people want to stay for longer, makes them want to develop into better humans. You, Victor, V-Man, Big V, you were on this island, and you increased your opportunities because you, and I'm not saying the island physically, because you decided that you wanted to. You wanted to listen to your father. You wanted to listen to your parents, and you wanted to continue the struggle when most people would have just packed it in and said, that's it. I'm done. I'm done, Mom, Dad. I can't come home. I want to come home from summer camp. Yeah. You didn't do that. And as you grow older, you'll start recognizing you'll call less and less when things get hard because they gave you all the skills you needed to not have to call them. How you like that?
I like that.
All right, folks. That's part 2 with the Big V here on the Sunday Fun Day podcast. Let's get ready for part 3 here.
3 coming up, man.
When Big V comes back and he tells us, I escaped the farm.
Leaving the farm. Part 3, leaving the farm. Coming up, man.
Here on the Sunday Fun Day podcast. The hangover never sounded so good.